How's it going, everyone? My name's David and welcome to another episode of The English Channel. Today we'll be looking at a form of inversion which occurs in a couple of different ways and is used in both speech and writing. So if you want to know how inversion can help you tell better, more exciting, more tense stories and score you higher marks in exams, then continue watching to find out. This is the second part on a short series on inversion, exploring the different ways it gets used in English. The first part looked at the way inversion gets used with expressions that show concurrence between things, the "so do I" type of inversion. This video will look at inversion after adverbials of location and direction. If you saw my video on word order, you may remember me mentioning that adverbials play an important role in inversion, and this video will show you exactly what I meant. So as I said, inversion after adverbs of location and direction can happen in a couple of different ways. The first way this sort of inversion occurs is when we wish to say if something is moving towards or away from us in the present moment. It's a really common kind of sentence and is used frequently in daily life. We start with an adverb of location, like here or there, then followed by the verbs come or go, then followed by a subject. It's the kind of construction that you may be familiar with from songs, such as the Beatles' Here Comes the Sun, or the Foo Fighters' There Goes My Hero, or the Pixies' Here Comes Your Man. But while it's a very basic construction, and there's nothing much to it, it's actually a little more interesting than most people realise. That's because this kind of construction needs to be inverted for it to express its particular meaning. So, for example, imagine a situation where two friends are waiting at a bus stop. When the bus is first seen in the distance, one may say to the other, "Here comes the bus." Now, if they just said, "the bus comes here," it would simply indicate it's a habit of the bus, that it regularly arrives at this place, not that it's arriving at that moment. It's actually closer in meaning to a present continuous sentence like, "the bus is coming." An important point about inversion after adverbs of location is that it cannot be used with pronouns. The example of "here comes the bus" using a pronoun would be "here it comes," and this doesn't have subject-verb inversion. The second way I'm going to talk about inversion is when it's used to add a dramatic flourish to a point in the story. This kind of inversion happens frequently after adverbs of direction, like up, in, out, away, along, etc. It's then followed by a verb, then the subject. Native speakers often encounter it at a young age, as it's found in the nursery rhyme Little Miss Muffet. Unlike the previous way that this sort of inversion gets used, this kind of inversion doesn't change meaning if it's not inverted. As I said, it gets used when people are telling stories to their friends and may get used at the end of a funny anecdote. For example, "And just as I was leaving the store, in came this man dressed in a dinosaur outfit." If you can use this in a speaking exam, the examiner will probably get rather excited. It's not only used in speech or in nursery rhymes, but more complex forms are used in literature too, often with the adverb taking the form of an adverbial phrase, like "in the corner stood an old man," or "in the hole in the ground there lived a hobbit." Okay, I know, I've cheated a little bit. I just like this line. A lot of people would say that this isn't actually inversion because although it uses an adverbial phrase, the "there," what we call a dummy there, is actually acting as a subject. So if we regard the "there" as the subject, it's actually going before the verb. But it's a kind of inversion, and in these sorts of sentences, the dummy there is actually kind of optional. So I'm going to include it because I like it. So inversion like this is closely related to something called fronting, which is when we move other elements of the sentence to the front or to the beginning of the sentence. Although fronting doesn't necessarily involve inverting the verb and the subject. Either way, using this helps to add tension to the story by moving the subject to the end of the sentence. The reader isn't told immediately who or what is doing such a thing. So a non-inverted fronted sentence using an adverbial could be something like, "In the corner, an old man stood." compared to the inverted form, in the corner stood an old man. One thing about fronting using adverbials like this is that if it's the to be verb, it has to be inverted. The grammar gods don't allow you to front a subject with the be verb without using inversion. At the bus stop was an old lady. Not at the bus stop an old lady was. You can easily start incorporating this kind of inversion into your own writing, and doing so will definitely impress your English teachers, as this is regarded as an advanced grammar device. So that's all for today. To recap, we've looked at inversion after adverbials of location and direction. It isn't such a difficult thing to grasp, and using it will improve your storytelling abilities and potentially score you higher marks in exams. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.